Welcome back, everybody. It's Paul Maglev here with Dream Mallet 2. The next level on our roster is number 45, which focuses on Amity 18, a Mars mission simulation performed back in 2018. It was an international collaboration coordinated by the Austrian Space Forum in the Dhofar Desert of Oman, a desert country based in the Arabian Peninsula. The objective was determining the logistical issues associated with future Mars missions, because the task of safely colonizing Mars with people is complicated by the long work hours, communication delays, the vast distance between Mars and the Earth, plus the limited resources that can accompany those colonizers. So, how do I go about approaching this level? I normally start this level by hooking up the main stations to the reactor and sand quarry. This provides the initial infrastructure for more long-term plans. Once enough workers have arrived at their destinations, enough funds are available to order 3 trains loaded with copper ingots bound for the space station, or should I call it headquarters, in the map's bottom right corner. The revenue from those ingots jumpstarts the next step, where I build a rail connection between both headquarters. This is followed by connecting the existing rails to the glass factory. We are nowhere near done, however, since the existing tracks and polymer warehouse needs a direct connection to the wire factory, which later connects to the microchip factory. Combine this with a few connections to the uranium mines and computer factory, coupled with a few other shortcuts, completes the majority of the rail network needed to finish this level. Later on, you will notice some track loops staggered between the polymer warehouse and the wire factory. This is done to store extra polymer trains in the future, since juggling trains I'm not ready for spells trouble. The key to earning a good time on this level is time management, the one facet of life I failed to master. This is because the level demands 21 carloads of computers and 7 cars worth of microchips, all manufactured from scratch, and the components needed to assemble them are all massive time sinks. This means players must assemble as many components simultaneously as humanly possible, which is easier said than done. But enough about that. There are other topics in store for discussion. I initially wanted to say home life passed uneventfully since the last time I mentioned it in a previous episode of Dream Mallet 2, but now I'm remembering otherwise. My first escapade focused on repotting household plants mentioned in the last episode. My first plan for repotting my bonefish cactus presented mixed results, however. One facet of the plan worked, because the new hanging pot composed of a metal basket and coconut lighter does the job. It not only provides adequate drainage, it suspends the plants off the ground so it does not get burnt by touching sun-baked paper stones in the summer. The pot is also portable, so it can be easily moved in and out of the shade or the rain depending on seasonal weather patterns. The main issue was finding a way to hang up the basket, because I thought replicating the portable setup my family built for our hummingbird feeder would suffice, but it failed to hold all the weight. This meant buying a new, more expensive setup, which I tried to avoid from the start. The new system finally works as intended, but since the cactus is the only plant suspended on it, extra weight had to be added at the bottom to change the center of gravity. Luckily, repotting other plants in the yard posed no challenges by comparison. Speaking of failing to avoid the inevitable, my computer started acting up again. In fact, my computer, which can render 30-minute videos in 1080p at 60 frames per second if I wanted to, could barely handle typing a single letter in a text document without freezing up on the morning of November 11th. Over a year's worth of observations suggests that whenever this happens, it usually means there's either a software update that needs installing, or the cooling system is clogged with dust again. Admittedly, the rapid onset of problems should have been the clearest sign that I was up against a software issue instead of a hardware issue, because my computer throttles its processing capabilities as a weird way of demanding the latest Windows 10 update. I, however, started prognostics by opening my computer tower up instead, burning up valuable time. I also wound up denting my computer desk as I returned the tower to my bedroom, meaning I got 2 problems for the price of 1. The updates might be complete considering I can type again, but in retrospect, the slowed processing which occurred every time a new update went public might have been my own doing. I suspect this because ages ago, I set my computer to never update and subsequently restart without my consent. This was accomplished by reducing the time frame my computer can update to only 1 hour each day under Windows settings. In doing so, I prevented my computer from installing updates and restarting itself without my input whenever I, for example, left the computer for lunch, naively assuming my important documents would still be there whether I had saved those files or not. What I failed anticipating was my operating system refusing those parameters, as if the system itself prioritized updates over every other process or function, including Control-Alt-Delete. The conclusion is that having a working computer is more valuable than avoiding a pile of auto-recovery files created each time my computer updates without my supervision. Another troubleshooting story occurred the day prior on November 10th, when I noticed all my source content for Train Valley 2 videos was still unorganized in my digital workspace. Properly formatting material in my editing software and organizing them into the right folders took up the whole day. Combined, the formatting debacle and the update fiasco initially kindled concerns that a video would not be published in time for the weekend due to technical difficulties. But those concerns are likely a moot point considering my inability to pick up shifts for work this week. That wraps up the most important updates determining the continuation of the series, but what other vlog-related updates are in store? On a more trivial note, loose orders I placed online several months ago are finally showing up at my door. The orders from the company Limited Run, for example, which makes hard copies of certain games I wanted, experienced delays in what I assume are their production and logistics departments due to COVID-19. So, certain orders I placed in May did not show up until November 11th at the latest, and more still have yet to show up. This is completely understandable, considering Limited Run is a company based in America, a country which hit a daily record of 170,000 confirmed cases the other day. But that is not even half of my trivial shipping sagas. The order that took the most effort this year was probably for a motorized locomotive truck from Tenshoto, which I placed with the Japanese exporter during one of their sales. The order got stuck in some sort of shipping purgatory because it occurred after Japan's international flights were cut back due to COVID-19, but before alternative shipping methods for international orders like DHL became available through the online store. Once DHL was available, I did not know I was expected to manually change the shipping options since I only skimmed the update emails on the order, so the needed changes were unmet for some time. By the time I did fix the order, if memory serves correctly, it took longer because the item fell out of stock. In the end, the Tenshoto motor did finally arrive, but much of the hassle could have been avoided had I paid attention. That is not to say, all things considered, that the majority of my time was spent waiting for orders to arrive. I also awaited more intangible niceties. Perhaps the most consequential nicety I looked forward to started on Election Day. The most anticipated and butt-clenching emotional roller coaster for everyone in America this year. Many predicted the abundance of mailed ballots would delay final vote counts for some time, but I did not anticipate having to wait until Saturday, November 7th, for all the states to count the majority of their ballots. This is attributed to the record turnout this year, and certain state laws that prevented their mail-in ballots from being counted until Election Day instead of before, wasting everyone's time with unnecessary tension spanning most of the week. In the end, the Biden-Harris ticket won the popular vote, and also won more than enough votes in the Electoral College to win America's 2020 presidential election. Now it's up to the states to certify their vote counts in the Electoral College, in all likelihood, to reflect those results. It should go without saying that the outcome is a step in the right direction for America, but unlike all the people I saw cheering in the streets online and on cable television, were the other people who optimistically claim that America's national nightmare is finally over. I know better than to jump to that conclusion. Elaborating any further on what already transpired post-election, and what happens next would take a whole video though, so we'll wrap up electoral discussions and move on to other niceties I long awaited. When it comes to personal activities, the one I anticipated most since the last episode was getting to play Generation 8 Pokemon again with my best friend from high school and current YouTuber, Sylvia. We spent around 3 hours doing Dynamax adventures in the Crown Tundra DLC the other day. It was initially difficult to connect our consoles for Dynamax adventures because we only knew how to sync our consoles for regular player battles and trades. And the process for hosting and joining Dynamax adventures is not only different, but also lacks clear, memorable instructions in the game. Despite all the events and changes I looked forward to lately, the one change I did not look forward to was the November cold snap in my part of the country. For context, There had always been a gradual transition between seasonal temperatures growing up. As I grew older, each consecutive autumn in San Jose was warmer than the last by a substantial margin due to climate change. In fact, October temperatures were so high this year that temperatures better resembled a cool July. I could go outside in some jeans and a t-shirt and possibly break into a sweat or get sunburned if I was not careful. The heat had been around so unnaturally long that I was concerned I would never need my jackets again. Then November came around, and literally overnight I could barely sleep in my own dang bed without long pajamas and the comforter almost up to my neck. There was no warning that temperatures would drop so quickly, if they would ever drop this low again, and I have no idea what seasonal surprises are in store next year. That about wraps up all the updates I wanted to mention. I wish I had more to talk about to fill the remaining 10 minutes of game footage left, but nothing else comes to mind, and the word count for the script already exceeded 2,000 words. I guess I will just fast forward the footage up to the end of the level. I hope that is okay with everyone, and if that is okay, then I might do it again for the remaining episodes planned for Train Valley 2. This could also make uploads more consistent and punctual going forward, so here goes nothing. Just a little more. And there. That's my personal record for best time. So thank you all for watching. I will see you in the next video. Until then, take care, stay awesome, stay true to yourself, and remember to never give up. Bye everybody.